All right, you guys are having your test Monday. I'm going to go over the review from the last lesson to the first lesson just because these are a little harder. And I feel like you guys understood the first few lessons pretty easily. You are going to have inscribed angles. You guys have to be able to identify these inscribed angles. Looking at questions 1 through 8, it has a lot of information in the diagram. On your test, you won't get it like that. It'll definitely be separate, okay? On your test, if it does give you an inscribed angle question like this, it'll only find 1 or 2 angles. You won't have to find 8 in one image. So it'll definitely be separated just because when I start solving this and adding the colors, it's going to become a lot. So before I even look at these questions, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to fill in information I know on my circle. So first thing I know is what they're giving me. They're telling me that LM is 84. So this angle right here is 84. And then K/N is 116. So K/N, 116. Okay, that information you guys should be able to find and identify. Now we're going to go ahead and look at our angles. When you are finding inscribed angles, as a refresher, you are always looking at the end of your arcs and you're looking at your lines that intersect to form a vertex, okay? That intersected angle on here. So using a highlighter, I'm starting at K and I'm going all the way down, and N I'm going all the way down to where they meet at the vertex. This is an angle. This is an intercepted angle. This is one. And if you were not able to, there is a second one. Again, I'm starting from the end of my arc and the other end of my arc and drawing where they meet. So right now I have 2 angles. These angles are going to be the same. Why are they going to be the same? Because the arc is the same. They're sharing the exact same arc. So how would I find these angle measurements?
Divide 116 by 2.
Good. You're dividing 116 by 2. If you divided correctly, you should have had 58. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at my 84 and I'm going to do the same thing. The lines are going to be overlapping. Just pay attention where I'm putting the angle. Okay, this one again, I'm starting, I will try and do a darker color. I'm starting at the end over here and I'm going up. And I'm starting at the end of this arc and I'm going up, so now I have another angle. This angle is now going to be right here. I also have another intercepted angle, inscribed angle right here. Okay, so again, yes, my lines are overlapping, but look at where I'm putting my angles. They're in 2 different positions. So now how would I find these angles? 84 divided by 2. Okay, 84 divided by 2, so I'm still dividing and I'm going to get 42 for both. And I'm still not done. There is still information here with theorems that we know that I can find. So please pay attention to this one because this one would have been hard if you weren't paying attention. When your diameter is your hypotenuse for a triangle, so here is my triangle in green. It forms a right angle. There will be a right angle in this corner right here. If I know piece of that right angle is 42, how would I find the other piece?
90 minus 42.
90 minus 42. If you did that correctly, you should have had 48. Pay attention to this one. Because this right here is one angle, and I know it's 48. I am now also able to find another arc. So right here in orange, I can find that arc because I know this angle measure in orange. Because this is 48, I can find my arc. And how would I find that arc?
Times 2.
Times 2. 48 times 2 is going to give me 96. Okay, so let me kind of zoom in. Right here in orange is the angle for my arc in orange. So now this is all that I'm able to find. This is all the information I should have. Yes?
For the purple, where it
is 48.
Uh-huh.
42.
How did I get the 40? No, I'm sorry. This one should also be 42. You're right. I wrote this one wrong. This is going to be 42, not 48. My mistake. Yes.
Can you say how you got the 48 again?
Okay, let me change this to 42. All right, again. Guys. Yeah, so how I got this 48 right here is because we have to know if my diameter is my hypotenuse for a triangle. This angle is a right angle. And because I found this is 42, I have to subtract it by 90 to give me the 48.
Okay.
So this information you have to be able to identify. So it's not going to be all of this within one question. It'll definitely be multiple questions if you have questions like this.
Do you know how many questions it's going to be?
Your test, I think I made it either 13 or 14 questions, but some questions have like, you need to give me 2 answers. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this. Let's go ahead and fill it in. So now I have all the information I need to fill in this entire answer. So looking at number 1, it says, what is the measure of JKL? Angle JKL, not arc, it's angle.
48.
JKL. J to K to L. Good. This is going to be 90 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and write 90 degrees. What about the measure of angle MKL? Good. That's going to be my 42. What about the measure of angle KMN? Good, I'm going to have 58 for this one. What about the measure of angle JKM? 48. Okay, number 5, the measure of angle KLN. Good, it's 58. Give me a second. The measure of angle LNM. L and M, yes, it's 42. All right, now I'm going to look at my arcs. What's my arc measure for MJ?
96.
Good, it is 96. That's one that we found. How did I get 96? Because when I'm looking at it, if I knew that this angle right here is 48, this is an inscribed angle, so I'm able to find this arc.
40 times 2.
So 48 times 2 would give me that 96. All right, you're going to have to wait. Looking at the measure of LKJ.
180.
Good, this is arc LKJ, and yes, this would be 180. All right, any questions on 1 through 8? All right, next, 9 through 11. What do we know when we're looking at these? What do we have to know?
That's going to be the 360.
Okay, that it equals 360, but what do I know about my angles? William? Good, the angles across from each other equal 180. So when I'm looking at this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight what I'm using. So first, I'm going to solve for my x. So these 2 angles added together equal 180. So look at how I'm solving it. I'm putting it in as 5x plus 110 equals 180. And then you have to solve. Subtract 110. You're going to get 5x equals 70. Divide both sides by 5. X equals 14 degrees. All right, now I'm doing the same thing for the other side. Okay, these 2 angles added together. Adding them together, I'm going to have 2y plus 104 equals 180. Subtract 104 from both sides. I'm going to get 2y equals 76. Divide both sides by 2, y equals 38. So this is what you should have had as your answer. All right, looking at it, number 10, solving it the same way, solving x first, and then I'm going to go ahead and solve for y. So looking at it, these are my x. This is the side for my x. So plugging it in, I'm going to have 108 plus x equals 180. All you have to do is subtract 180, or 108. Subtract 108 from both sides, and you're going to get x equals 72 degrees. Now, looking at this one, looking at my y, what do we know about these two little curves right here? Good, those are my congruency marks. So if I know those added together equals 180, you can set it up however you feel comfortable. 2y equals 180. You're dividing both sides by 2. And y is going to equal 90 degrees. Okay, you're just cutting the 180 in half because they're both equal. And the last one for number 11, with this one you had to use your inscribed angles. So look how I'm solving it again, please. These are my x's. However, they're not giving me the measurement of angle A. So we're going to do what we did before. I'm going to look at this inscribed angle right here. How do I know that that's my inscribed angle? Because that's the arc that I'm using. That's the arc I'm using. So first thing I have to do is I have to add 152 plus 80. I'm going to get 232. And that's the measurement for the entire arc. So in order for me to find the angle, I have to do 232 divided by 2. And I'm going to get 116. So I know that this is 116 degrees. So I'm going to take that 116 plus 4x equals 180. Subtract 116 from both sides. I'm going to get 4x equals 64. Divide both sides by 4. X is going to equal 16. And that's my answer. All right, now I have to do the same process for my y. And again, looking at my y, this is my arc for y. How do I know it's my arc for y? Because this is the angle that I'm trying to find right here. So same process. I'm going to take 84 plus 80, 164. That's the arc measurement. To find the angle measurement, I'm going to take that 164, divide by 2. 82. So now I know that this angle is 82 degrees. So I'm setting it up. I'm going to have 82 plus 7y equals 180. Subtract 82. 7y equals 98. Divide by 7. If you divide it correctly, y equals 14 degrees.
Do you know if we're going to have like any decimal answers?
No,
No?
I won't give you guys any decimals. All right, any questions on 1 through 11? Yeah. All right, and the last question on this page, determine whether AB is a diameter of the circle. Looking at this, there were a couple ways to solve it, but so far from what I found by everyone answering it, this was the easiest way. If we know how to find inscribed angles, this angle is 30. What would the measure of this arc be?
816.
What would the measure of AC be? It's not 30.
60.
It'll be 60. 30 times 2 would give me 60. Because this is 60 degrees, I can check it by saying 120 plus 60, what does that equal? 180. So is AB a diameter?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, explain. Showing your work is fine to me. All right, questions on the first page. I feel like this is more important than the bottom one. Understand all of this. This is more concept-wise. Do you know how to deal with inscribed angles? So definitely you have to know how to find inscribed angles on a diagram.
Are most questions going to be from this lesson?
It's a good mix. I want to say it's at least 4 questions for each. All right, 10-3. All right, we're going to do one. We're going to start from the top. So looking at this one, we're using the diagram. If you did this first part in steps, you would have had no problem finding 1 through 4. So please pay attention to this. Looking at number 1, it says explain why arc AD is congruent to BE. Going back to some theorems we learned. If my chord is congruent, then the corresponding arcs are also congruent. So they want me to explain it. Explain why they're congruent. I would write my chords are congruent. If my chords are congruent, then the corresponding arcs are congruent. Corresponding arcs congruent. Okay, so that's the answer for that one. If your chords are congruent, so here are my chords, 5 and 5, then that means the corresponding arcs are congruent. Find the value of x. How would I solve for x? Who could tell me?
10 equals, yeah.
Good. Equal them to each other. All you had to do was plug it in. Not plug it in, but set them equal. 15x minus 40 equals 10x plus 10. If you solved correctly, what was the value for x? 10. Good. Do I need to show that for you guys, how to solve it? No, I think we know how to do that one. All right, now it says find the measure of arc AD and the measure of arc BE. What do we know about those 2 arcs?
They're congruent.
They're congruent, so I only have to solve for one. Easiest one is 10x plus 10. It's all 10, so we should know how to work with 10s. So all you had to do was plug it in. You're plugging in 10 for the x. So you have 10 times 10 plus 10. If you solved it correctly, you should have had 110. So I'm going to go ahead and write 110 underneath. Always label. And then it wants me to find the measure of arc BD. So looking at that arc is right here. How would I find that? I'm going to take everything that I have. I have those 110s plus that 110 and that 40. I would get 260. Then all I have to do is take that 260 and subtract from 360. And your answer for that arc is going to be 100 degrees. Questions on this? All right, next. 5, 6, and 7. Again, things we have to know that are congruent. When you're looking at number 5, SQ and PR are perpendicular bisectors, okay? Because SQ is a diameter, I know they're going to be congruent. So setting this one up, you should have just set it up as x minus 1 equals 6. Add 1 to both sides, super easy. X should have equaled 7. Looking at number 6, because this is 90 degrees, all of these are going to be the same measure. So set them equal to each other. I'm going to do it down here. I have 6x plus 9 equals 8x minus 13. If you solved correctly, I'm going to go ahead and subtract 6x from both sides. I'm going to get 9 equals, 2x minus 13. Add 13. 22 equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 11. Okay, for 6, x should have equaled 11. Looking at number 7, if your two chords are congruent, your two arcs are going to be congruent. So now that I know what that would equals, I can solve. So I have 50x plus 2 equals 152. Subtract 2. 50x equals 150. Divide by 50. They both end in a 0. I like to cross the zeros out. X equals 3. Questions on those? Questions on 5, 6, and 7? No? All right. 8, determine whether AB is a diameter of the circle. How can I tell if AB is the diameter of the circle? Yes. Okay, not only a right angle. There's another word you have to put in there. Perpendicular does mean right angle, but there's something else. Bisector. It has to be a perpendicular bisector. So for this one, it is a yes. AB is a perpendicular bisector of QR. Okay, super important that you know, has to be a perpendicular bisector. Questions on 10.3. All right, now we're going to get to the easy stuff. 10.2. I'm going to go from the bottom. All right, looking at this one, some of you guys had trouble on this, but once you identified what you needed to, it was pretty easy. So looking at this one, you know that this is 90 degrees. And then you know that these two symbols mean they're congruent. So now for this one, all you have to do is solve it. Let me zoom in a little more. All you have to do is solve it knowing what you know. 360, because that's the entire thing, minus 90. You're going to get 270. And because these are both congruent, 270 divided by 2, you're going to get 135. So AC is 135 degrees. That's your answer. All right, looking at B. Same concept. This is 90 degrees, but now I'm dealing with 180. Again, I have my congruency marks. 180 minus 90 is going to give me 90. And then 90 divided by 2 is 45. But looking at this one, they're asking specifically for DAB. So I'm going to take what I have, 180, plus that 45, add them together. 225 was my answer. All right, we're going to go ahead and look at these. Number 5, are they congruent, yes or no? Yes, they are. How do I know?
They're both 105 degrees.
Okay, they're both 105. They're vertical angles as well, and they're central angles, meaning that my arcs are going to be the same. Looking at number 6, yes or no?
No.
No, why?
They're not equal measures.
They're not equal measures. OP and MO. Why are we saying no, they're not congruent?
They are.
I would say they are congruent. I would say yes, because if my central angle is 45, then my arcs are also going to be 45. Doesn't matter how big or small the circle is. And then looking at number 7, is it yes or no? It is a yes. How do I know it's a yes? I have to solve it. If this is 180, I need to figure out what the other angle is. 96 plus 42 is going to give me 138. Take that 138, subtract it from 180, and then I'm going to get 42 again. So it's a yes. Yeah.
Number 6, I put no because I thought the NM was this.
Always go the
The
smallest.
smallest?
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure because this one was inside this one, and I wasn't sure if I was.
Always go the always go the smallest. All right, do I need to go over this one or should we just go over the answers?
Just the answers.
All right, I feel like we should have got these right. So, looking at number 1, what was my answer for this one?
Semi-circle.
Good, it was a semi, which means it's 180. What about TS? It's a minor, so it's 74. What about TPS? It's a major, so it's 286. Good, thank you. And the last one?
It's minor.
Good. And it's 42. Good. Questions on 1 through 4? No. All right, last slide and then we're done. Yes. All right, looking at number 13, I'm going to start from the bottom. The first one is what? Internal or external? Good. Internal. Good. All right, how would I solve number 10? Make them equal to each other because they're congruent. So I have 4x plus 7 equals 6x minus 3. Solving this, I'm going to first subtract the 4x from both sides. So I'm going to get now 7 equals 2x minus 3. Add 3 to both sides. I'm going to get 10 equals 2x, so x equals what? Good. All right, number 9. I'm not going to go over that one because it's a decimal, but I'm going to give you the answer for those of you that solved it. R should have equaled 1.4. I am going to go over number 8, though, concept-wise, just so you know how to solve this one. You're using the Pythagorean theorem, so you should have had 35 squared plus r squared equals, don't forget your parentheses, 25 plus r, squaring it, and you have to FOIL. Do not distribute the 2. 35 squared, you should have had 1,225 plus r squared equals 625 plus 50r plus r squared. Your r squares are going to cancel out if you moved them over to the other side, so I'm just going to go ahead and cancel out. Then I'm going to go ahead and subtract 625 from both sides. If you did that correctly, you should have had 600 equals 50r. Divide both sides by 50. Personally, if they both end in zeros, I'm going to cross the zeros out. Now I have 60 divided by 5. R is going to equal 12, which is correct. Good job. All right, almost done. These, you should have used the Pythagorean theorem. So you have to know what's your hypotenuse. You have to know which ones are your A's and your B's. So you should have had, let me not use a highlighter, 30 squared plus 16 squared equals 34 squared. If you solve this part correctly, you should have got 1,156 equals 1,156. So is this a tangent?
Yes.
Yes. Same thing with the next one. You should have had 21 squared plus 20 squared equals 28 squared. And then you should have had 841 for this side and 784. Are those equal?
No.
No, so this one's no. And the last section, I'm just going to go through these quickly. 2 radii, you should have had FE with a line above it. And EC, again, if you flip these, they're fine. Then for 2 chords, CF or FC and BD or DB with a line above it. Your diameter, you should have had FC. Your secant has to have arrows. BD with arrows above it. Your tangent also has to have arrows, AG. And then the point of tangency is just H. Questions, comments, concerns? This is your test review. Please study test Monday.